My name is Jessica Torres. I'm 28 years old, and I work as a correctional officer. I've only been doing this job for 3 years, but 3 years is more than enough to learn one truth. They are inmates, but they are still people. People with fears, regrets, anger, and sometimes hope. If you want to hear the real stories from behind these walls, the ones most people never talk about, subscribe to this channel. These are the stories I lived, and this is where I tell them. The first time I saw Angie Chun, she was curled up in the corner of the intake cell, trembling like a leaf. She couldn't have been more than 22, tiny frame drowning in the orange jumpsuit they'd given her. Her face was streaked with tears and mascara. She looked like someone's kid sister, not an inmate. I never imagined that saving her life would nearly end my career and put a target on my back that I'm still trying to shake. I'm Jessica Torres, and this is the story of how I learned that not everyone who needs protection deserves it. It was a Wednesday morning in September when Angie arrived at Riverside. I was finishing my rounds in C Block when they brought her through intake. First-time offender, arrested for check fraud and identity theft. White-collar crime, nonviolent. She'd be with us for 18 months. The moment she stepped into C Block, I could see it written all over her. Pray. Prison has its own ecosystem. Within hours, everyone knows who's weak, who's strong, who's connected, and who's alone. Angie was alone. She walked with her shoulders hunched, avoided eye contact, flinched at every loud noise. By lunchtime on her first day, I'd already seen 3 different groups sizing her up. First time, I asked her that afternoon when I found her sitting by herself in the common area. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I made some mistakes. I never thought I'd end up here. Nobody does. I sat down across from her. Listen, you need to be smart in here. Don't borrow anything. Don't owe anyone anything. Keep your head down. And if someone gives you trouble, you come find me. My name's Officer Torres. She looked at me with these big, grateful eyes. Thank you. Everyone here seems so scary. Some are, some aren't. You'll figure out who's who. Just be careful. Over the next 2 weeks, I kept an eye on Angie. She seemed to be adjusting okay. She got a job in the library, kept to herself, followed the rules. I was actually proud of how she was handling things. Then everything changed. It started with small things. I noticed Angie getting called over to certain tables during meals. Saw her having whispered conversations in corners. She started looking nervous again, that hunted expression back in her eyes. One morning, I found her in the bathroom during count, crying quietly in a stall. Angie, what's going on? Nothing. I'm fine. You're not fine. Talk to me. She shook her head. I can't. You don't understand. If I say anything, they'll hurt me. My stomach dropped. Who's threatening you? I can't tell you. Please, Officer Torres, just let it go. But I couldn't let it go. That's my problem. I see someone suffering, and I have to help. It's why I became a CO in the first place. I started paying closer attention to who Angie was talking to. The pattern emerged quickly. Diana Ruiz and her crew, 3 women who ran a protection racket in C Block. You paid them commissary, phone time, or favors, and they made sure nobody bothered you. If you didn't pay, life got very difficult very fast. I'd dealt with Diana before. She was smart, careful, never got her hands dirty. She was 35, serving 7 years for assault and robbery. She had connections on the outside and ran her operation like a business. I didn't like her, but I'd never been able to get anything solid on her illegal activities inside. On a Thursday night during my evening shift, I was doing cell checks when I heard shouting from the showers. I ran over and found Angie on the floor, water running over her, blood trickling from her lip. 2 of Diana's crew were standing over her. What the hell happened? I demanded. She slipped, one of them said with a smirk. I helped Angie up. She was shaking, soaking wet, terrified. I slipped, she whispered. I'm okay. I took her to medical, got her checked out. Minor injuries, but the message was clear. Pay up or worse is coming. After medical cleared her, I brought her to a private room. Angie, this has to stop. Tell me what they want from you. She broke down completely. They want me to set up bank accounts. Use my contacts on the outside. I know people in finance, people who can move money without questions. Diana's running something big. Money laundering, I think. She wants me to help her set up the accounts and transfers when I get out. But I can't. I already destroyed my life doing this stuff. I can't go back to it. So tell her no. If I tell her no, she'll kill me or have someone else do it. She told me yesterday that accidents happen in prison all the time. I'm terrified, Officer Torres. I don't know what to do. I made a decision right then. You're going into protective custody. Tomorrow morning, I'll handle Diana. Her face flooded with relief. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're saving my life. I went straight to Lieutenant Morrison and explained the situation. He agreed that protective custody was the right call. Angie was moved to a single cell in a separate unit the next morning. I felt good about it. I'd protected someone vulnerable from a predator. I'd done my job. That weekend, I got a call from my brother Miguel. He was frantic. Jess, someone tried to break into Mommy S' house last night. She's okay, but they left a message spray painted on the garage. It said, mind your business. What's going on? What did you do? My blood went cold. My mother lived in East LA, 2 hours away from Riverside. Someone had gone to her house. Someone knew where my family lived. Miguel, call the police. Get security cameras installed. I'll figure this out. I hung up and immediately thought of Diana. This had her fingerprints all over it. She was retaliating for me putting Angie in protective custody. I reported it to Morrison, who launched an investigation. But investigations take time. And I was scared. Not for myself. For my family. The threats escalated. Someone left a note in my locker with my mother's address written on it. Nothing else, just the address. The message was clear. We know where she lives. We can get to her whenever we want. I was losing sleep, jumping at shadows, snapping at coworkers. Every phone call from my family made my heart race. I installed security systems at my mom's house with money I didn't have. My brother started staying there at night. My whole family was paying the price for my decision to help Angie. Then, 3 weeks after Angie went into protective custody, Internal Affairs called me in for a meeting. I walked into that office, confused about why they wanted to see me. Lieutenant Morrison was there, along with 2 IA investigators I'd never met. Officer Torres, we need to ask you some questions about your relationship with inmate Angela Chun. My relationship? I don't have a relationship with her. I put her in protective custody because she was being threatened. One of the investigators slid a folder across the table. These are phone records from the past 2 months. Multiple calls between your personal cell phone and a number registered to Chen's boyfriend on the outside. Care to explain? I stared at the records. My number was right there, clear as day. Multiple calls, some lasting 10 or 15 minutes. That's impossible. I never called anyone connected to Angie. I don't even know who her boyfriend is. We also have commissary records showing unusual deposits into Chen's account, deposits that coincide with dates you were working in C Block. I didn't put money in her account. Why would I do that? The other investigator leaned forward. That's what we're trying to understand, Officer Torres. It looks like you've been communicating with Chen's associates on the outside and providing her with financial support. That's a serious violation of protocol. It suggests an inappropriate relationship. This is insane. I was trying to protect her from Diana Ruiz's crew. They were extorting her. Diana Ruiz filed a formal complaint 3 days ago. She claims you've been harassing her and her friends without cause. She says you're targeting her because you have a personal relationship with Chun and wanted to eliminate her competition. The room started spinning. I couldn't breathe. This couldn't be happening. Diana is lying. She's retaliating because I interfered with her operation. Do you have any proof of this operation? Angie told me about it. Diana wanted her to set up bank accounts. And we interviewed Chin this morning. Morrison interrupted. His voice was quiet, sympathetic. She denies ever telling you about any money laundering operation. She says you approached her repeatedly, offered to help her, and she felt pressured to accept your assistance because you're in a position of authority. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. She's lying. Why is she lying? But even as I asked the question, pieces started falling into place. The grateful looks, the tears, the vulnerability. It had all been an act. Angie hadn't been a victim. She'd been bait. Over the next week, the full picture emerged during the investigation. Diana Ruiz was smarter than I'd given her credit for. She'd identified me as a threat months ago. She knew my reputation, knew I had a soft spot for vulnerable inmates, knew I'd intervene if I saw someone being bullied. So she'd set a trap. Angie Chin wasn't some naive first-timer who'd made mistakes with check fraud. She was a professional con artist with ties to organized crime. She'd been planted at Riverside specifically to get close to me. The staged attacks, the tears, the desperate pleas for help, all of it had been theater. While I was busy protecting her, she was documenting every interaction, twisting every conversation, building a case against me. The phone calls to her boyfriend, made from a burner phone that had somehow acquired a spoofed number matching mine. The commissary deposits funneled through a complex system that made it look like they came from me. The whole thing was a sophisticated operation designed to get me fired, discredited, or arrested, and it had almost worked. The only thing that saved me was Diana's impatience. She'd pushed too hard, too fast. When investigators dug deeper into Angie's background, they found the connections, found the burner phone records, found evidence of the spoofing. The case against me fell apart, but not before I'd spent 2 weeks suspended, my reputation questioned, my family terrified, and my mental health shattered. Angie Chin was transferred to a different facility and charged with additional crimes related to the scheme. Diana Ruiz was moved to administrative segregation pending investigation. The threats against my family stopped, but the damage was done. I came back to work after my suspension ended, but C Block felt different. Some inmates looked at me with suspicion. Some officers wondered if there had been something to the allegations. The trust I'd built over 3 years felt fragile, damaged. I second-guessed every instinct. When I saw an inmate who looked scared or vulnerable, I hesitated. Was it real? Was it another setup? The thing that had made me good at this job, my empathy, my willingness to see inmates as human beings who deserve protection, had been weaponized against me. I met with the prison psychologist 6 times before I could even talk about what had happened without crying. She told me that predators are experts at identifying and exploiting helpers. They find people with strong moral compasses and use those compasses to navigate right into their blind spots. "You didn't do anything wrong," she said during our last session. "You saw someone in danger and you tried to help. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. But I should have seen through it. I should have known." How? She was a professional. This is what she does. You can't blame yourself for being human. But I did blame myself. For weeks. For months. It's been 5 months since everything happened. I'm still at Riverside, still working C block. I'm more careful now, more guarded. I verify everything, document everything, trust my instincts, but also check them against reality. When I see an inmate who needs help, I still help. But I'm smarter about it. The truth is, this job requires a balance I'm still learning to find. You have to care enough to see people as individuals, but not so much that you lose your objectivity. You have to be willing to trust, but also willing to verify. You have to maintain boundaries while still maintaining your humanity. Last week, a new inmate arrived in C block. Young, scared, clearly overwhelmed. She reminded me of Angie in those first days. My first instinct was to help her. My second instinct was to walk away before I got burned again. I did neither. Instead, I approached her with caution, offered basic advice, watched her carefully, and documented our interaction. When she started getting hassled by other inmates, I intervened through proper channels, not as a personal rescue mission. I did my job. Nothing more, nothing less. It doesn't feel as good as it used to. That rush of satisfaction from knowing you've protected someone, that sense of purpose, it's muted now, complicated by doubt and fear. But I'm still here, still showing up, still trying to be the kind of officer who makes a difference. Because the alternative is becoming cynical and cold, seeing every inmate as a potential threat, every situation as a possible trap. That's not who I want to be. That's not why I took this job. Diana Ruiz taught me that predators come in many forms. Some are obvious, loud, threatening. Others are subtle, patient, manipulative. The scary ones aren't always the ones you expect. Sometimes the person crying for help is the most dangerous person in the room. But Angie Chen also taught me something else. She taught me that my instinct to help people isn't a weakness, even when it's exploited. She taught me that doing the right thing sometimes means getting hurt. And she taught me that resilience isn't about never falling down. It's about getting back up, learning from the fall, and moving forward anyway. I still check under my car before I get in. I still think twice before trusting anyone too quickly. The scars from those 2 weeks of investigation, from seeing my family threatened, from being betrayed by someone I tried to help, those scars are still there. But I'm still Officer Torres. I'm still in C block. And I'm still trying to make a difference, one careful, documented, verified interaction at a time. That has to be enough.